All right, you guys, NFL Week 2, time to go over these spreads. Real quick, I want to give a recap of Week 1. We went 3 and 4. Not super elated by that, with that by any means, but hey, we were right there. Not to make any excuses. Normally, I would beat myself up when I have a bad week, when I go under 500 like that, especially in Week 1s. I normally do pretty well in Week 1s, but this was tough. I mean, Anthony Richardson, we have a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback. It's first and goal. He's at the 3-yard line. He's been falling forward and pushing through every single play. You would think that we would get that, but of course he gets hurt, and we don't end up getting that cover. Minshew comes in, and with multiple chances, he can't get the ball in the end zone. It just really sucked. I knew the second Richardson was out that even though we were 3 yards away, we weren't going to get there. The Patriots spotted the Eagles like 16 points to start the game with a fumble and a pick six. After that, for anybody who watched the game, you know the Patriots outplayed the Eagles. And if those mistakes didn't come early, if you just watched the last 3 quarters, you would say, hey, the Patriots are winning, or the Patriots are going to win this game. I mean, and even with all that, the Patriots had the opportunity. They were a holding call on a 2-point conversion away from losing that game by 3 and getting us the cover. So it just sucked. The 3 and 4 week that could have easily been 4 and 3, easily been 5 and 2 if things went our way. Even the Jets game, we cashed the Jets last night, but for Rodgers to get hurt, you hate to see that. And then we were out there with Zach Wilson. We were 2 and 4 on the week, and it was Monday night, and we had Zach Wilson up there going against the Bills, and that's the type of stuff that just makes you uncomfortable betting the NFL, and it makes you worried that you're just setting yourself up for failure. I mean, 2 quarterback injuries in Week 1. It just really sucks. You can't get any more unlucky than that. So it's okay, though, because the way I view it, that just means things are going to go our way eventually. For the things that didn't go our way in Week 1, that just means in Week 2 or 3, something's going to bounce our way and make up for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I have a few top plays for you guys on this Week 2 card. I'm going to preview everything. Let's get into it. First game up, we got the Minnesota Vikings Thursday Night Football at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are -7 at home. I went into this game. I went into detail with this game on my social media platforms. You can find me Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on the Eagles here with the -7. I think it's a great spot. I think the Vikings are teetering towards just, kind of blowing this thing up. I think they're going to have a mediocre season this year, and I think this is going to be the last of Kirk Cousins in Minnesota. I went into full detail earlier today on those videos, so go check those out. I'll try to put up shorts on this YouTube channel, but the Philadelphia Eagles is the side. We will be on that on Thursday. Next game up, we got the Green Bay Packers at the Atlanta Falcons. The Packers are -1.5 point favorites. I like the Falcons here. Everything points towards going with the Falcons here. Green Bay, back-to-back road games. Jordan Love going into another new environment. The Atlanta Falcons, with their run attack, we know Green Bay has always struggled against the run. So this is a good matchup for Atlanta at home. And, it's always sweet taking a home dog. And Atlanta, as bad as Ritter was against Carolina, the rest of the team looked pretty good. So this is a cool spot to take Atlanta. I'm not mad at anybody who takes the Falcons. But a part of me is worried that Vegas just doesn't quite know what's going on with Jordan Love yet. Like, does anybody really know how good or how bad Jordan Love is? I mean, he looked really good against Chicago, but what does that mean? So this game has a little bit of ambiguity to it. I'm a little unsure about exactly how this could play out, just because I don't know who the quarterback is for Green Bay. I literally don't know how this kid's going to perform. So just based off the number and the situation and how the teams match up in other positions, I do like Atlanta here. But something about Jordan Love, he burned me in Week 1. Something about it, I'm just hesitant to pull the trigger here, at least for now. I'll let you guys know if I end up getting there, though. Next up, we got the Chicago Bears +3 at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Chicago's the sharp side. I mean, Chicago's the sharp side here, just like they were in Week 1 for us. Chicago's the sharp side. You're just a little worried at this point with them losing all those games that they did to end last year, and then to come out in Week 1 against your division opponent, your biggest rival, and to just lay the egg like that. I mean, it's just really concerning. You wonder if there's a coaching problem. You wonder if Justin Fields has issues. Claypool not showing very much effort in that game against Green Bay. So there's a lot of concerns here. Plus Tampa Bay. Baker's one of those weird guys where it's like, yeah, Baker's due to give us like 3 interceptions, but he's also like the type of guy that all the guys in the locker room love, and maybe Tampa Bay is starting to rally together. I know Mike Evans has his issues with the team, and there's some locker room drama going on, but maybe just getting that win against Minnesota, and now you're home, and it's like, hey, we have a little bit of hope here. It's just tough because Chicago really looks like they kind of suck. It doesn't look like Chicago made the steps that they need to make to be a great team or to even be an average to above average team. I mean, there were a lot of people who had even higher hopes for Chicago than I did this year. I looked at them as like a 7-win, maybe 8 if things go their way type of team. But I looked at them as a team that would cover spreads. And before the year, I would have definitely took Chicago in this type of situation. But now, after seeing what happened in Week 1, I'm trying not to have recency bias. So the lean will be Chicago. Maybe eventually during the week I can look into it deeper and maybe get there. But Chicago's a smart side, just not quite sure if we can do it. Chicago +3. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. The Seahawks are +5.5. I know looking at this number is going to make everybody want to take Seattle. I mean, Detroit is -5.5, and the way that the odds are looking, -115, it looks like it's headed towards -6. I have seen -6 on other books. I know everyone wants to take Seattle because this number just looks sweet. I think this number is big for a reason. Detroit home opener. Detroit always being good at home. Well, covering spreads at home at least last year. Jared Goff performing way better in domes than he does outside. So, Jared Goff likes being indoors. He's one of those type of quarterbacks where it makes a big difference for him with his accuracy and just his comfortability. And, it's a long week for Detroit. Detroit has the rest advantage. So, rest advantage, home field advantage. Strong line all over them. Revenge game. Seattle went into Detroit and beat them last year. Dan Campbell and this coaching staff, with as turned up as they are, as aggressive as they get, they're definitely reminding the players that Seattle came in there and whooped them last year. This Geno train may be coming to a halt. I've never really bought into Geno. Even last year, I was more so just like, hey, Pete Carroll has these guys playing defense, and, they're getting timely offensive plays going their direction. But I never viewed this team, even as down as I am on the 49ers, I never really viewed the Seahawks as like, oh, the Seahawks are going to win the division. Like, the Niners are still better than the Seahawks in my opinion, and the Seahawks are still like a middle of the pack kind of team where Detroit can be a legitimate playoff team, and they're showing all the signs that that's who they are. So with this spread sitting at about 5.5, 6, heavy lean to Detroit, I may end up getting there. Next game, we got the Las Vegas Raiders at the Buffalo Bills. The Raiders are currently +9.5. Look, I haven't bet this game yet, but I'm letting you guys know I'm going to have a very big bet on this game, and it's going to be on a team that rhymes with chills. So that's where I'm going with this. It's probably going to be a 2-unit play. I just have to dive deeper and do a little bit more homework before I officially give it out to you guys. But that's where my head is at right now. Make sure, to check me out on the social media platforms, because when it is time, I will drop this play officially. But just look forward to that. There is going to be a play, a potential 2-unit play, first 2-unit play of the season that will land on this game. Next up, we got the Los Angeles Chargers at the Tennessee Titans. The Chargers are -3. I know everybody's going to want to take the Titans as a home dog. It's Vrabel. It's good coaching versus bad coaching. It's Tennessee coming off of a loss. This is normally where Tennessee will look out and take care of it for us. But it's hard here because I just think the Chargers are just extremely more talented than this Tennessee Titans team. And Ryan Tannehill was arguably the worst quarterback in the NFL last week. I mean, like, besides the rookies and, like, if there's anybody I'm not thinking of, Ryan Tannehill was horrible last week, The Tennessee Titans got the cover despite Ryan Tannehill's performance. So it's very hard for me to take the Titans here. I would actually lean Chargers. To me, this game feels like if everything goes right for the Titans, the Chargers could escape here with like a 1 to 3 point win, and the Titans would cover, but the Chargers would win. But if things don't go the Titans' way, if they're just catching bad breaks, I could actually see the Chargers going into this game and like kind of dominating the Titans on their home field, and then all the question marks surrounding what's going on with the Titans will actually start to emerge and really get loud, because they were close to trading Ryan Tannehill during the offseason, and An 0-2 start isn't going to help his case at all. So the lean would be Chargers -3. Once this gets up to 3.5, which I think that's what's going to happen, I wouldn't dare touch this game. Even at 3, it just feels like a Chargers 3-point win. So I'll leave it alone, but Chargers as the favorite is the side. Next game up, we got the Indianapolis Colts -1 at the Houston Texans. This game's a little tricky because, it's two teams, new quarterbacks, new coaches on both sides. There's still some question marks, still some things you got to figure out about both teams. But honestly, the Houston Texans feel like the right side to me in this spot. They have a really good defense. They're at home. It's a low total, suggesting that there's going to be very few points in this game. Anthony Richardson and the Colts were able to run the ball against the Jaguars, but this defense is another animal. It's D'Amico Ryan, and it's a bunch of guys on this Houston Texans team. It's just a bunch of gamers. Like last year, Houston was able to compete and cover some spreads last year just because they competed on defense, Like they might not be big-name guys, but they're guys that are willing to give it their all, and they're going to buy into the coach's game plan. And to take Anthony Richardson as a favorite on the road, it's just not something I would feel comfortable doing. I think people will do it just because he has some really good highlight plays in that game and because Houston got smacked by the Ravens. But what better way to prepare yourself for a running quarterback in this game than to go against Lamar Jackson? I think Lamar Jackson was the perfect, just the perfect guy for the Houston Texans to face before going against Richardson. I mean, all that mobility, having to try to contain him, all the weapons that Baltimore has, and now you face a Colts team that's going to be doing very similar stuff, but just not quite as good, and you're at home, and you're getting points. I think this is a good spot for Houston here. CJ Stroud, he could only play better. They're going to start to see, hey, what can he be comfortable doing? What are plays that we can do to make his life a little easier? They're going to score more against the Colts than they scored against the Ravens. So Texans +1 is the side here. I'll let you guys know if I'm official on this one because the more I talk about it, the more I like it. I just didn't have it written down yet as an official, so I'll have to go back there and see if I get there. Next, we got the Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Ravens are +3.5. It was +3 earlier. Now it's +3.5. Looking at the odds, it might go down to +3. It feels like it's going to bounce back and forth between those two numbers. Sharps are going to be on the Bengals. Joes are going to be on the Ravens. For me, the Ravens just clean up so well as a dog, especially Lamar. He's just so good as a dog that it's hard for me to fade the Ravens here. I know Sharps are going to be all over the Bengals because the Bengals lost and they're due for the bounce back and the Bengals just start slow. But the Bengals starting slow, I don't know if that's just a one-game thing or if that's just them in the beginning of seasons because normally they don't just turn it back on in week 2. Normally they're slow for multiple weeks. I know there's no reason to be slow against a divisional opponent in a game that you really need to win. I mean, the Bengals are looking at themselves and they're saying we don't want to go down 0-2 for the season, and you don't want to lose a home game and let Baltimore go up 2-0 in the division. But it's tough. It's tough. I know Sharps are going to be on Cincinnati, but it's tough for me here. Joe Burrow, I don't know what's going on with the injury. He probably played the worst game of his career last weekend against Cleveland. So there's just a lot of unknowns here, and I don't think it's as simple as Joe saying, oh, I'm getting points with Baltimore, let me take it, or Sharp saying, oh, Cincinnati is like this contrarian favorite, and no one wants to take them, so let's take them, and we're going to surprise the world with the Bengals. I just think this game is a little weird, and I just remember last year in a game similar to this, I had the Ravens favored against the Bengals, and the Ravens won. On a primetime game, the Ravens won early in the year, but they didn't cover versus the Bengals. So it's like, with these two teams, it just gets awfully close, and ultimately, I'm just going to stay away. Moving along, we got the Kansas City Chiefs -3 at the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a playoff revenge spot for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They've had this game circled on their calendar all summer. They were looking forward to playing the Kansas City Chiefs. It's just Chris Jones is back. And Kelsey's probably going to end up playing in this game, and they're eventually going to move this line because I'm suspecting that Kelsey is going to play. So this line's probably going to move, and I just feel weird. I just feel weird with Mahomes as a short favorite or Mahomes as a dog. Mahomes coming off of a loss. This is normally where he's like, enough's enough, and he just turns it up. So even though theoretically you're getting a home dog, you're getting a playoff revenge game, you're getting Jacksonville, whose offense looked very good against the Colts. I'm just not quite sure if Jacksonville's defense can stop Mahomes when Mahomes and Reed are coming off a loss and they're super locked in, making sure that they get this game. I think Kansas City wins this game. If Jacksonville has a good outing, they can make this cover interesting. But it's just weird because before the season started, I would have told you that Jacksonville as a home dog versus Kansas City is like a beautiful spot. But now it's like, especially with Kansas City losing in Week 1, it's really weird now, and I would actually lean towards Kansas City. So Kansas City -3, I think, is a solid look. If you got Kansas City -2.5, I love that look for the people who got it. But Kansas City -3, I think, is a solid look. Once it gets to 3.5, no touch for me. Moving on to the afternoon slate, we got the San Francisco 49ers at the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams are +8 in this game. Look, guys, I know it's not the cute thing to do. I know you guys aren't going to love it, but I have to take the Rams here. I have to take the +8. The San Francisco 49ers, we know that they own the Los Angeles Rams. We know in this NFC West, it's like McVay gets Carroll, but Carroll gets Shanahan, and Shanahan gets McVay. We know how the cycle goes. But whenever the Niners and the Rams play each other, and the Niners have always covered these regular season games, I think dating back to October of like 2019 was the last time that the Rams actually covered versus the Niners, and it was on a big number like this. It was like Rams +7 on the road, and that's my point is the 49ers always win and cover versus LA, but it's always on a short number, and at some point the trend is just due to come to a halt. At some point Vegas says, we're going to just over-adjust and overprice this number to the point that you can no longer beat us just taking San Francisco blindly every single time. Because that's what everyone was doing. Even last year, I hit with the San Francisco 49ers twice against the Los Angeles Rams. We cashed both those bets, but it was like, even as I was doing it, it was kind of like, this is too good to be true. Eventually, this has to reverse itself. And now that we're getting the huge line, San Francisco coming off, it's a road back-to-back for San Francisco. They just killed Pittsburgh, and now everybody's going to be all over San Francisco. This is the perfect time where we take that over-adjusted line, and Vegas is giving us a treat with this many points. I mean, San Francisco can win and dominate this game, and still the Rams cover because the Niners win by like 7 or something like that, So it's a good spot to be in, and it was just nice in Week 1 seeing what the Rams did against the Seahawks. I told you guys the lean would be the Rams, but that it was tough to touch even with Cooper Kupp out. Well, because Cooper Kupp was out, it was going to be tough to touch. But I told you guys the lean was the Rams, and it was just really encouraging for me to see that the Rams aren't tanking. They still have Matthew Stafford. They still have Sean McVay. They still have Aaron Donald. Like, these are big-time players, big-time coaches. McVay has some new coaches around him. And maybe they can scheme this up a little differently, and just with all the pride that they have in this inflated number, just hang around this game. This is very tough for the Niners to go from Pittsburgh and now have to come all the way to LA. And then in a couple days, they're going to be playing a Thursday night at home versus the Giants, on a short week. This is just really tough scheduling, really tough travel. I think it all just points towards the Rams somehow finding a way to get there. So Rams +8, I've officially played that. I put 1 unit on that. Best of luck to you guys on both sides, but the Rams is the side for me. Next game up, we got the New York Giants at the Arizona Cardinals. The Giants are -6. This line just keeps getting steamed up. Everybody's betting the Giants. It's tough. With the spread like this on the road, Arizona, there's not really much of a reason to buy Arizona, but they did cover in Week 1. You would expect that they wouldn't cover in Week 2 and that it would kind of balance out. You don't really want to buy Arizona at all. I mean, what else can I say? But +6 at home, a big home dog. And the Giants, are they really that good to be favored on the road like this versus anybody? I do think Giants first half is an interesting look. I believe it's -3 right now. I do think the way that the Giants were moving up and down the field versus the Cowboys on that first drive or two, they looked good. It's just they started having turnovers, and then the game just got carried away going against that Cowboys defense and special teams. But the way that Dable can scheme up and draw up plays, I think that he can get them off to a nice start against this weak Arizona defense. And if he does that, the Giants should have a lead going into halftime. So Giants first half is an interesting look for me here. I'm not mad at anybody who takes it. I actually think it should hit. I just wish it was 2.5. So if they win the half by a field goal, you cover. At -3, it's like not super enticing enough for me to even place. But Giants -3 first half would be the lean. And for the full game, I honestly have nothing. I guess I'll give you guys Giants -6, but don't even quote me on that because I don't even like giving you guys that. Next up, the New York Jets are plus 9.5-point dogs at the Dallas Cowboys. In this game, we see the total has just been getting steamed down. It opened at like 48 or 47. No Aaron Rodgers. It's all the way down to 39.5 now. This game is dangerous because both quarterbacks are very susceptible to turning the ball over against these defenses of these caliber. This caliber of defense. So it's hard. It's hard. Don't want to back Zach Wilson anymore, even though he got the cover for us. I don't want to back him anymore. If this line gets to 10, I could entertain the idea of backing the Jets just because their defense is going to be so good, and Dallas will probably just end up playing this game close to the vest and making sure that they win and won't be so concerned with trying to just completely blow out the Jets. Also, even if they do try to be super aggressive and blow out the Jets, it could just lead to those Dak turnovers that help the Jets out in a major way. So just off the Jets defense, if this gets to plus 10, I will entertain it. But at plus 9.5 or lower, this is a pass for me. And looking at the total at 39.5, it's gotten so low that I think turnovers could give offenses short field, and then it could go over. So if you got the under when it was a lot higher, when it was like 47 or whatever, I'm totally with that. But at 39.5 and at plus 9.5, it's a pass on both of those for me. And last game before we get into the primetime games, the Washington Commanders are plus 3.5 at the Denver Broncos. This is a tough game for me. I could see the Broncos winning by exactly 3, which would make you lean Washington. Washington's going to come into this game with a much better defense than the Raiders have. Washington is probably a better overall team than the Raiders are. The Raiders have a sexier offense, but Sam Howell can't be much worse than Jimmy G, and the Washington defense is just way better. So out of division game, out of conference game, really tough to call here. Not quite sure. Like I told you guys in the week 1 video, I'm not quite sure. Sean Payton, he's going to get his fingerprints all over this team. He's going to make his mark on this Denver team. I'm just not quite sure how early in the season he can have his influence take over on them, you know? So, I mean, Russell Wilson looked good early on with the scripted plays, but after like the first quarter, or really after the first half, it just started looking kind of ugly from Russ. We started seeing the same old Russell Wilson from last year that just looked completely washed. So this is a tough game. If this was later on in the season, I would probably take Denver no-brainer, and it would probably be a sharp look. But early on in the season, Denver laying the 3.5, no interest in taking them. Because of the hook, I guess the lean would actually be Washington. And now for the primetime games, we got the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots Sunday Night Football. The Dolphins are -2 on the road. Of course, you have to take the Patriots. Of course, the Patriots is the right side theoretically. It's a home dog. It's Belichick. These teams, they're normally going to split, if anything. Miami normally wins when the game is in Miami, if anything. But I don't know, guys, because, you know, let's say that the Patriots don't even have the turnover problems they had at the start of the game against the Eagles. Let's just say the Patriots are playing good, sound football. Tyreek Hill is the best player in the NFL to me besides quarterbacks. Like, when you remove all the quarterbacks, because quarterback is just the most important position, the number 1 player in the league to me is Tyreek Hill. Like, before Myles Garrett or a Bosa or Watt or any of those other guys, you know, like Aaron Donald, before those guys, or Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill is the best player in the NFL, because whether he has the best technique or he's just the most pure wide receiver or whatever, who cares? He just makes the biggest impact, and I've been saying this for the last 5 years. His speed is just such a big difference maker. It's literally like Steph Curry with the gravity that he has at the 3-point line. He just stretches the floor out. It's like Giannis when he's in the paint and everybody has to clog the paint up because of Giannis, because he's just so dominant. And that's how I feel about the Miami Dolphins with this Tua Tyreek Hill connection, because Tua statistically was the best quarterback in the NFL last season in the games that he played in because he has all these weapons and because he has an offensive coach who just understands how to get it done. So the number is all over the Patriots. Situationally, you want to be all over the Patriots. Are the Patriots really going to lose back-to-back home games as a home dog? Are they really not going to cover either one? It's hard to imagine that, but this Dolphins team just has some things that is kind of hard to account for. And I don't really, on a short number, I don't really want to get in front of the Dolphins unless I have a team that can like at least somewhat compete with them from a talent standpoint. Like if you take the Patriots in this spot, you're essentially just tipping your cap to Belichick, and you're giving all the credit to him and saying he's going to figure something out here. But it's just hard for me to do that when Tyreek Hill is on the field, just literally wreaking havoc, changing the game, flipping the game. So this is a pass for me, but I'm wishing the best of luck to everybody who takes the Patriots because that is the sharp side. Last two games, we got two Monday night games. We got the first one is the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are -3. It's -120. Looks like it's going to go up to -3.5. And this line feels about right. The Saints, who are the Saints to be laying a super duper big number on the road? Who are the Carolina Panthers to even want to place a bet on? I mean, the Panthers look so bad against the Falcons that it's like you don't want to take the Panthers, but you don't want to take the Saints on an inflated line as a road favorite. It's still Derek Carr and Dennis Allen at the end of the day. So it's kind of hard to get there on either side because there's arguments to be made. I will tell you guys this. As much as I would want to take Carolina in a spot like this, it kind of points to them. And because the Saints always lose in Carolina, I do think with Carr now, they do have their best quarterback play since Drew Brees. So having Carr there, -3 is just so nasty. It's going to go up to -3.5. It's so nasty, but the Saints are just a lot more talented than Carolina. And how much can you hide the fact that you have a rookie quarterback who looks a little bit shaken up out there in Bryce Young? So if I had to give a free play in this game, it would be New Orleans, but this isn't typically the kind of bet that I would make. And for the last game up, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Cleveland Browns are -2.5 on the road. They are road favorites within the division. The odds on that right now is -105 on the spread, so it could get back down to -2. You guys, normally I would tell you guys take the Steelers. Normally I would be the person that says Mike Tomlin as a home dog. Mike Tomlin back-to-back weeks as a home dog. Similar to Belichick right now being home dogs back-to-back weeks. I would say he's just due to get one. He's going to have the guys more prepared. This is the same old Browns every single year. They blow a game like this. Who are the Browns to trust in a situation like this? I'm telling you guys right now, I want this number to go down a little bit. But honestly, I'm okay with laying the -130 on the money line. Come Monday, most likely I'm going to be on the Cleveland Browns. I'm going to give you guys that nugget right now. You guys are probably going to listen to other people who bet sports or who tell you about the sharp side or this, that, and the third. And they're going to tell you all the different reasons why you should take Pittsburgh. Sometimes we make this thing a little bit too complicated. Like, the Cleveland Browns get a ton of pressure on the quarterback, just like the San Francisco 49ers can do. And I'm not quite sure, no matter what Matt Canada tries to draw up, he's not a good enough OC, and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have enough talent, and they're not locked in and connected enough right now that they're going to be able to stop Myles Garrett, who's the best defensive player in the NFL. They're not going to be able to stop Garrett, and it wasn't just like last week with just Bosa, who was attacking the Steelers' front line. Everybody on the Niners' front line was getting pressure. So I think Cleveland is going to get a ton of sacks, a ton of pressures. I think this is going to be back-to-back games for Kenny Pickett where he's just frustrated and he's seeing people in his face all game long. And when I think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, as good as they are defensively, the one thing that worries you about Pittsburgh is sometimes you can run on the Steelers. And last year, the Cleveland Browns, they were home favorites and they got a real nice cover against the Steelers because they were able to just run it down on the Steelers. And I think with Deshaun Watson, with Chubb, with this run game, with this run scheme, you're going to get a ton of pressure on Pittsburgh, and you're also going to run it down their throats. I can't take Pittsburgh just because it's Tomlin, just because it's a home dog. I'm telling you guys right now, I'm going to be on an island with this pick, but I like Cleveland here minus. I'll go official with if Cleveland is -2, I'll tell you guys that Cleveland -2 isn't a bad bet for you to make. But what I'm going to actually go official with is I'll probably be on that money line. -130 is like the farthest I'll let it go. So depending on what the money line is, if the money line is like 130 or less, I'll probably just lay that with Cleveland. So those are the picks. Those are the plays. That's the insight, the breakdowns on the Week 2 card. I'm looking forward to dominating the NFL season with you guys. Best of luck to you all. Make sure to follow me on all my platforms so that way you guys can see if I've made an adjustment or if I've taken a game that I didn't say I was going to take here, but if I ended up getting there, or the games that I'm telling you guys that, oh, I might end up taking this game but not sure yet. Make sure to follow me so that way I'll drop the links in the bio. Make sure to follow me so that way you guys can see what actually ends up happening, so you guys can follow all the plays. Let's make some money together this year, and let's just have some smart bets, and let's have a good time. So I appreciate you guys all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the videos. Until next time, peace.